Hey guys, what's going on? So I think following the Ryan Garcia Devin Haney fight, Ryan Garcia with his big win now has a lot of attention, and there's really a lot of buzz on what his next fight and specifically who his next opponent will be. So I just kind of wanted to go through and break down all of the possible options. First up, the heavy names that are thrown out, starting with Isaac Cruz. He's definitely someone in the 135-pound division that's extremely active and definitely has a lot of attention. Had a really good fight against Gervonta Tank Davis, so I think this could be a good indication to see where Ryan's at in comparison to him. And he's also coming off a knockout win against Rolly Romero. I will say the only problem with this, though, is that Cruz fights at 135, and given that weight difference, I really don't think Ryan is going to want to drop down any lower than what he weighed in at, which was 143 pounds. So the only way I would see that happening is some sort of a catch weight, or if Isaac Cruz wanted to come up in weight to face him. I think the two names are great, and this could definitely lead to a high pay-per-view match, but I just don't think it would work out due to that weight. If he is looking to bump up the 147-pound division or the welterweight division, a really big name being thrown around is Errol Spence Jr. Really established boxer, really is a big name. I think his stock took a major hit against the loss with Terrence Crawford, but Terrence Crawford is one of the best in all of boxing right now. And I really think after his car accident, he's really looking to get back into the swing of things. So I think it could even be a good opportunity for him to get a huge fight. Him and Ryan Garcia, I could see that being a really big pay-per-view turnout, and I think it would really be a good indicator to see where exactly Ryan's at someone in the 147-pound division. And if he was able to get past him, I think that could open a lot of doors for Ryan Garcia to work his way up and possibly get a title fight for the welterweight division. And then the other major option would be a rematch with Tank or Gervonta Davis, but I think this time it would have to be at Ryan Garcia's natural weight because he really did go down significantly to face him before, in addition to that pretty hefty rehydration clause. So I think if you got rid of both the rehydration clause and they fought at maybe even a catch weight, you could do something like 143 pounds. Ryan was able to make that before, or if it was 145, a welterweight fight, Gervonta Davis would really have to come up and prove himself again at a much heavier and hydrated Ryan Garcia. I think that would make a major difference in the fight. So I think that is a huge fight that will likely happen at some point, whether it's one of his next opponents or in the future. I think that's definitely around the corner. Another big option, we have Shakur Stevenson, but he's also a 135-pounder, so I really don't see the weight happening for either of those guys unless he's really hungry and wants to come up and fight Ryan Garcia to really captivate on the attention that he has. I don't see that fight happening. I think most likely Gervonta Davis and Shakur Stevenson will have some sort of a fight. Ryan Garcia will have some sort of a fight. And then maybe the winners of those two fights might have some sort of a catch weight deal. But I think, again, focusing on that heavier weight class, that 147 or the welterweight division, where Ryan is going to be comfortable at. Another good option could be someone like Mario Barrios, who was the interim welterweight champion before. I think that could be another good indicator of where he's at and a good follow-up from that Devin Haney fight. You also even have someone like Teofimo Lopez, also a really big name that could make for a great pay-per-view. He just fought at 140, and that was a little bit tricky for him. So another bit of a weight issue here, but I don't think he would necessarily have a problem going up to 147 if they maybe even did another catch weight. I could see that happening just to get those two guys facing off against each other, but I wouldn't say that's a top priority match, even though I think they're both interested. And then going off of something Ryan Garcia said recently, he also mentioned Sebastian Fundora, who's at 154 pounds. I think that's too much of a jump for him right now. I could definitely see that being an option for him in the future. If he was able to get a few fights at 147, get some sort of a championship title at 147, and then he wanted to bump up again in weight to see how far he could go. I could definitely see that happening, but I don't think that's what's next for him. And then another big option, I think he called him out after his win, but you have Jaron Ennis, the IBF welterweight champion, who's interested in fighting Ryan Garcia. I think this is definitely a good match, but I'd like to see Ryan get at least one fight at 147 before facing someone like him. He's the IBF champion, whereas Terrence Crawford holds the other 3 belts. So I think just looking at this, what I could see being a very likely scenario, I think an Errol Spence Jr. or Mario Barrios fight at 147 makes the most sense. And then he could even go, for example, if he fought either of them and won, and then wanted to fight Jaron Ennis for the IBF welterweight title. I think that could be a good move for him. And if he was able to get past him and is really progressing and gaining a lot of momentum, you could see him getting a super fight with someone like Terrence Crawford. If Terrence Crawford's probably going to vacate them because he's looking to go up in weight, so it's possible Ryan Garcia could just be the champion by himself. And then you could maybe look for someone like Gervonta Davis coming up for that rematch to face him. So I really think there's a ton of options. I think just in general, he has so much attention right now after that big win against Devin Haney. So he really is the A side for a lot of these fights, even if he doesn't necessarily hold a belt. In terms of attention and those pay-per-view numbers, a lot of guys are going to be really kind of forced to come to him. But feel free to let me know what you guys think, who you think his next opponent will be. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you later.